In just a few moments, I will be gone. I still don't know what to expect on the moon. Will I really be able to send messages to my friends? The Kuhenki, the animals of Not Cry. I'll never get to see them again. I wonder where... This is where the people of Hyperborea used to communicate with the moons.
Eternal moon, frost moon, iridescent moon. When the power...
The gate to the moons shall...
Moon marrow preparations are complete.
I'm sure Nasha Town is livelier than ever at this moment.
Yeah, it's a shame you couldn't be—
It's fine. I'm more than happy with this. My last piece of luggage. My only... I can already feel the moon calling to me.
Your home lies on the far side of this light, Columbina.
From now on, we will at last have a reason to pray to the true moon.
Columbina,
Yes?
be sure to come back and see us when you get the chance.
Of course.
But if that chance doesn't come, then remember that you have friends on this planet. People who will miss Columbina.
Yes, I will. Thank you for everything you've done for me. And remember, come night. Well then, farewell, my friends. Thank you. This was my happiest night in Teyvat.
Farewell, Columbina.
The moon really is closer than ever tonight.
Columbina.
All three moons in one place. Time for one final experiment. Reason, life, death, time, and space. They all believed I would fail. But Teyvat's primordial power never did belong to the throne of heaven. And now, they are mine. Oh. try to control me?
Columbina.
Are you all right? Do your wounds still hurt?
I had someone prepare a little medicine that could prove effective.
In that case, let me relate the contents of the call we made.
That Dottore is a crafty one. He distracted the Hexen Circle by creating a huge... I'd assumed that the cause was an abyssal intrusion from the outside world, which in fairness is a rather common occurrence. But after learning that you managed to influence the phantoms in Nodcry, I realized...
But we weren't able to change their...
True, you couldn't change how their stories ended, but you did build some...
Variables?
Yes, things you heard that you could not otherwise have learned, ideas that would otherwise have never crossed your mind. All these things are variables. Of course, most variables usually pale into insignificance with the myriad of possibilities floating around. But the moment you start treating them as building blocks and intentional, that's what Dottore did. And it's how he created the necessary conditions so that when you activated the portal tonight, it played right into his plan.
However, we have...
Yeah, we also need...
And that about sums it...
As I suspected, Dottore has disappeared completely. If it's any consolation, he wasn't able to
Oh no! What? She did what? All we saw was Dottore appeared and used some kind of power. The next thing we knew...
So, Columbina intentionally opened the moon gate.
Sounds like...
Seen in that way, the trilunar syzygy and revere, according to Miss Alice.
an utter...
Wait a sec! Where's Hat Guy? Seems like he'd want to be here for this.
He took off with the Dodo communication device after we spoke to Alice. He said he had a hunch that he wanted to investigate by himself. The look on his face was terrifying. I've never...
I'm back.
Hat Guy!
I went to look for the Hyperborean phantoms again. I think I've gotten to the bottom of it. I got them to talk to Nicole on the other end of the communications line. Turns out, the history they describe is different from how Nicole remembers.
Really? And how? Sure.
Because the phantoms are the ones who were deceived. They speak of a savior who appeared in their history. This savior promised to create a new moon within the false sky. And foolishly, they believed in him and told him everything he wanted to know about the moons. It's obvious that this was Dottore's doing.
Now you mention it, the first time we entered the Hyperborean room...
But Dottore shouldn't have been in...
He didn't. Nicole said that this was an anomalous state triggered by disruptions in the causal connections between phantoms from the same era. The variables that Dottore put in place were substantial enough that they even affected phantoms that he never met.
So it's not that their memories were unclear. They'd been tampered with.
That's exactly the possibility Dottore was trying to manufacture. He turned these variables into knowledge and engineered the situation so all that knowledge would fall into his hands. Then, he harnessed that knowledge on Moon Prayer Night to truly create a false moon.
How is that even possible?
To be precise, he exploited a weakness in the way the spell works. The spell senses Kuvaki to detect the moon's location. So, as long as the false moon more strongly resembled a moon than the frost moon beyond the skies, the gate would teleport Columbina to the false moon's location. In other words, once he had her under control, the teleportation spell remained active.
At that moment, the moon marrows disappeared right before our eyes.
By then, Dottore had already amassed the power of all 3 moons.
So, where does it...
I'd certainly like to know what Her Majesty thinks, now that the concerns I expressed to her have come to pass. But we cannot simply sit and wait for her to decide the matter. And in any case, it is not the Fatui Harbinger Damselette who sees us as her friends, but rather Columbina Hyposelenia. If, even in such extreme circumstances, Her Majesty will then I will do as my heart demands. I will fight as Peruware instead.
Oh, Arlecchino!
Time is short, so I'll make the first move.
Whew. You and Arlecchino...
All right. Lose those dejected looks for a moment and let me get a word in. It looks bad, I won't. So Dottore's pulled some real... And yeah, it's to the point where even many have told me that Tevat's destiny is fixed. And that does appear to be the case. Well, what makes Dottore so sure he'll be the exception? And since he was able to stack these variables up, who's to say we can't do the same? You of all people should not be discouraged, traveler from afar. This isn't over yet. And you're not alone in that. But none of us are the type to... That's exactly how a knight should roll. They knock you down...
Mark is right! This is far from over! Dottore's already way overdue a butt-kicking given his past shenanigans. And after this, he's already...
That's what I'm talking... How's everyone else?
I'll use Kuvaki to investigate Columbina's whereabouts. I am not ready to...
Leave the intel gathering to me. Whatever happens within Nodcry's borders, when the curator...
Ano and I will do all we can to support you. We will attempt to reverse engineer...
Alice and Nicole are busy dealing with an emergency at Tevat's border, but they're both very angry about this. They've asked Albedo and me to act on the Hexen...
Are you ready then? We're going to have to conduct...
I'll do my best.
As for me, I'm pretty familiar with Dottore's way of doing things. So I can try to predict his next move. I'll help with your investigation.
Nice! Looks like I'll get in touch with Flint. At the same time, I'll pass on instructions to the knights.
Yeah!
That's it then. Good luck!
I never thought that Columbina would become my real name. It went from being a Fatui code name to something. And remember, come night or day, the moonlight shall always connect us.